Welcome to Career Tipper Podcast, hosted by Michelle Beatty. The Career Tipper Podcast is a motivational resource that shares career and entrepreneurial tips by industry experts that will help amazing people evolve to their professional best. And now your host, Michelle Beatty.
Episode 54 of the Career Tipper Podcast features Regine Bonneau. Ms. Bonneau is a leading expert and practitioner in governance, risk management, compliance, and cybersecurity. She believes in order to create an effective security culture, there needs to be an understanding of each aspect of the phenomena in enterprise risk management and governance with insight and commitment at every level of an organization. Ms. Bonneau's career spans 20 years with a focus on people, process, and technology in the healthcare, financial, legal, government, and energy sectors from small to large enterprises. She is a certified third-party risk professional. Ms. Bonneau is the founder and CEO of RB Advisory, LLC, which provides cyber risk management, security assessments, compliance services, forensics audit, and privacy consultations for private sector and government clients. During this episode, Regine will chat about her career path in cybersecurity and the heightened awareness needed by all. I'm your host, Michelle Beatty, professional development author and coach. Regine, welcome to the Career Tipper Podcast.
Hi, Michelle. Thank you very much. I greatly appreciate the opportunity to partake in this beautiful thing that you're doing.
Oh, thank you so much. Now, Regine, please demystify cybersecurity and explain why businesses and professionals in general should be more aware of the need to be compliant with the governance of cybersecurity.
Well, there is no mystification in cybersecurity, right? But it's because it's an unknown practice. It's not something everyone has heard about, but it's been around for I always tell people it's been around before you and I were even born, right? But because now with all these things that we've seen, it's becoming more at the forefront for everyone. Cybersecurity is technically protecting the information that is on your computer, on your laptop, on your phone, how you practically do business on the internet. It's the internet as a whole. And really now that information is actually being transmitted over the internet and technology is taking place, now we need to take more care into how we're doing these transactions and moving forward. But, everyone, businesses should be aware of this, and also to people in general, down to the personal level, because you, at some level, you are on the internet, you have phones, you have social media, you also have your information out there. You need to take care of what is exposed out there about yourself and also about your business. So in that aspect, it's just reading on it, understanding how it is applicable to you, and moving forward from there. So it is something we have to embrace because it's new to us in a sense, because we never had to think about protecting ourselves in that sense, right? Because that's not what it's supposed to be. But as we know, this is humanity. Every good, there's a bad version for it.
Understood. Now, please share what led you to having career longevity in cybersecurity.
Well, my journey started very young. I was exposed to technology at a young age. In junior high school, I started took a class in coding. For everyone out there who understands floppy disk, right? That was the era. And also to doing with the little green turtle that you had to code and get them to from one space to another. Then, excuse me, I was exposed to robotics. Then I just started fixing things at home because class ended. Something needs to give, right? So went to school for engineering, but really got involved in governance, risk, and compliance with the light. And technology was growing at that spurt, right? Exponentially. And then everyone started talking. We started looking into what the cybersecurity, how do you protect yourself now? Because everything is shifting. And as things are shifting, you also have to look at where is it that you fit. So that's how, with security and then with my background and a additional background in governance, risk, and compliance, which is the driving force now behind really taking care of yourself online, your client's information. And with that, I was able to, continue on and propel myself in the security world. The transition, it was fun. I always say it's fun. It's a journey, right? So it's always, everything is new to you when you go out there and venture on your own. But, you have to stay the course. Excuse me. I apologize. Stay the course and keep doing that. So that's how, with that and really finding where do I fit in this massive industry, right? Because you can fall, it's not an abyss, but you can fall into different channels, but you have to find somewhere where you fit and where the need is. And was able to find that, and governance, risk, and compliance was where the need was, because it helped companies and everyone build a foundation. And that's how everything else comes into play. So that's on my journey, and I'm looking forward to that longevity that you just mentioned.
Indeed, indeed. Now, Regine, what do you want other professionals to keep in mind when matching up their skills and credentials to career opportunities in cybersecurity?
It's just like, cybersecurity it's like any other industry. They need everyone, right? From every discipline. Yes, there's a specialty in it when it comes to networking, more coding, software applications. But if you're looking to do, transition into cybersecurity or looking for a different opportunity, career opportunity, is to sit down and see what your skills or sets are now, right? What have you been doing? And then look into the industry and where does that fit or match what's happening. They're always looking for, someone needs to drive revenue, right? So sales, business development is always needed. You already have that skill. If you're good at that already, all you have to do now is apply, learn a new discipline, and see how does that match. Because once you have that skill, it doesn't go away. You just have to learn to sell something new. Right, and also too, depending on what you want to do, if you want to get into more the technical side, you join this organization like ISACA, where you could get some certifications, your Network Plus, Security Plus. There's a list of things that you can start doing, and putting those credibilities and credentials behind your name as part of. Some people even go back to school, but I always say if you're going back to school, you have to know if that's what you really want to do, right? But it can't be just, I'm going back to school for security. You still need to find out where your passion is and what you need to do. And that's what drives everyone. It's not fun and games, right? It's a constant learning environment, constantly changing and evolving environment because of, where we are right now in technology. So being passionate and have, the innate drive to serve and be part of the solution is, a great attribute. And also being able to be coachable, right? Because no one, even the professionals themselves, no one knows everything. So it's all about collaboration and one teaching, learning from the other. So those are things that, I will say to keep in track. And also too, at the end of the day, your current skills that you have now is applicable to everything else, right? Unless you're a surgeon, but then we can talk about surgery in different ways for cybersecurity, right? But, as someone who's looking in sales, marketing, PR, even down to networking, if you want to learn from software development to network or whatnot, understanding where you are and how do you fit properly into what they're asking for.
I love it. Now, on Maryville University's blog, I read the blog post, Soft Skills in Cybersecurity, Communication and Training are Key, and it stated that there's a need for understanding communication strategies, change management, learning theory, and human behavior. So what are a few ways for fellow colleagues like yourself master these needed skills?
If you, in the soft skills or, those things that you learn from home, right? And also you learn from interaction with people and moving along different, place in your life. So school does, if you're doing business, you have business etiquette, learning how to communicate across different levels of management. So the soft skills, when we're talking about those in security, it falls in line with more of the engineers, right? And also even myself, sometimes I fall into the aspect where I'm not communicating effectively because no one else is understanding. But the soft skills that you were talking about is how do you take an engineer out of their shell and actually being able now to work as a team, right, with someone else, engage in teamwork, because security is about collaboration. It's about teamwork. How do I, communicate now what I'm doing to my manager or to the owner of the company or to the board, or even, thinking outside the box of how does the business run itself? So those kind of soft skills, things like that, you pick up and, working in team, right? Having an open dialogue, being able to communicate effectively and understanding who you're speaking with, right? Because depending on who you're speaking with, you have to also understand the language that they understand. And how do you add that to yours? Engage with other groups, network, right? Because within networking, you're putting yourself out there. You start learning these business mindset of talking to people, understanding, and take classes, listen to podcasts like these, right? And then listening to, that's self-improvement and self-awareness and self-enrichment that you have to do yourself. And those are the things that I would say even for our fellow colleagues, and how do I communicate? How do I really say what I want to say? Is you have to go out there, and just like you're reading on your skills, on your industry and what you're doing as a professional, you also have to look outside too and devote some time into that.
Indeed. Thank you. Regine, please share the details of the services that RB Advisory offers.
So with the company, how the concept was to help business owners, because the demographic we're dealing with, small business to mid-sized businesses, is to help them understand as a whole, how does security fit into my business model, right? So how do you speak to someone in that aspect and not really understanding their business? So we're focused on understanding the client's business as a whole. And that's how you'll hear people talk about the holistic view of, cybersecurity in a holistic way, is really understand the business from its infancy to where it is today and where it's going. And what are the key, what is important to the business? Once we understand that and what's driving revenue, what's driving the business to do what they have to do, then we can really sit down and put a plan together and see how security fits into it. And we deal mostly with process and people. And as we know, if we don't have process in place, there's nothing that's going to get done properly, right? So focusing on those foundational bases allows us to help clients put together a cyber risk management program, understanding the security compliance that they have to abide by, depending on the industry they're in, such as finance, healthcare, the energy, and the government, depending on what you're doing now, have their own requirement and compliance you have to deal with. And then we're also providing insight on third-party risk vendor management, right? Because we outsource everything that we do, and then we also collaborate with other companies. How do we manage it and have them uphold them to the same standard that we also have to do? So with that, we do assessment, help them understand the know, right? What you don't know, bring to light what you don't know, and now let's put a plan of action in place so that we can get you to the level that you're supposed to be at. And of course, there's a maturity level. It's not overnight. All of a sudden, I'm good. It's a constant evolving. So we work closely with our clients and become part of their team, right? Even though we outsource, we are also part of the team because we're so integrated into their system and the business, and being able to predict what's going on and provide them more scale with them as they scale depending on where they are. So in a nutshell, that's what we do. We post-breach, pre-breach. Proactive is always the key because that's what we promote. Being more proactive is always better than reactive. So, right? So if you're proactive, then you know how to respond better. And it's about response time. So that's one of the key things. How do you respond? How do you continue doing business when something happens? Because that's what we're seeing and feel right now.
Congratulations, Regine. You recently launched a new company, Safe First Partners, that focuses on certifying companies and their supply chains in global cybersecurity. So please tell listeners more about that.
So when you're sitting down and you're hearing, Safe First is, a new baby, right, per se, but basis on the same process as are the advisory. But what we're doing, this is part of like of the certification process that a company will go through before that they have this good, it's like a good housekeeping seal of approval. I don't know if you remember these things that used to come to show other consumers and other companies that I'm safe, that I'm doing what I've taken the necessary measures to not only get my company in a place where we're following rules and getting our cybersecurity in order, we're managing our data, but also too now we're also taking care of your product now, your digital footprint now, and you can trust us. Because what I was seeing in the market is what is changing, and now clients are going to start asking companies, how can I trust you with my digital footprint, right? Because now as things are changing, we're realizing digital footprint is becoming more important. So what does that do is not only do we help the company themselves and their staff get certified, depending on what risk, how to really identify risks, classes that they're taking on certain cybersecurity courses, and also have the company get certified, which means that we will go in there, validate, verify that all their system and controls are in place, implement what needs to be done to get them to a level, and then get them to where they're now certifiable in the system, that we can give them that certificate that yes, you've gone through this process and we've validated what you actually state that you've done, and now you have that certification. You can just have it there. People will see that, okay, now I've taken measures that to protect my company and to protect information. And your supply chain, we outsource everything. Companies have large third parties that they do business with. So how do they themselves manage that company? How do I uphold them to the same level of standards that I have to do, because I'm also being scrutinized by regulators? So we help companies, we take that over for them and help their contractors get to that level and give them that certification so that they can see where we're going. So moving them along to the blockchain platform, which will be more useful in the data management, decentralizing the data, and creating that secure transaction. I'm trusting transaction between one person to the other, and then internally also. So that's what the company is slated for, and is just to now give that good housekeeping seal of approval, help you increase your visibility with your client, and also your profitability.
Regine, what is your process for selecting your contractors and your other tasks that you outsource to different freelancers and contractors?
So, they go through, it's an onboarding process. It's just like a regular job, right? If you apply for, we ask questions about, they go through a vetting process, right? We do background check also to ensure that, you're not doing anything. You don't have any outstanding things that we need to know about, because again, this is about trust, and the trust is broken. So now we're fixing that trust, right? Not only among consumers, among vendors, and everyone in the world. So they go through a vetting process. We ask for documentation on what they have on their security measures, and also to come down to insurance, liabilities, and for compensating factors in case when something happens. So we also, depending on what level of work that they're doing, and now what we started doing is also do an assessment of their system, right? Show me, you say you have all of these now, let me see if you really do have them. And it shouldn't be a problem. But if it's just that's when you're working with a company directly. But even if we're working with a contractor that's going to come in on board to do some work for us, either one, we have assigned them a laptop if they're not working on a client site. If they're on a client site, then there's nothing much. It's just really going through a process. You understand security already, but these are the rules of engagement, right? To do, and we still go to a vetting process on a personal aspect, but come from what's your company's doing, what security measures that you have in place, very detailed, and also what's your incident response plan, what plan do you, what insurance do you have, cyber insurance that you have, general liability insurance that you would have, so that we also feel comfortable now. We know that you've taken the measures, and we have also taken the measures to ensure that you are doing what you say you're doing. And that's the same process that we help our clients with.
Fantastic. Thank you for sharing. Now, what aspect of cybersecurity do you find yourself educating your clients on most?
We're still trying to figure out why. Why do I need it? Everything's in the cloud. So if it's in the cloud, it's supposed to be secured, right? So we don't hold it. We don't have a server. We don't hold anything, information here. I said, it's really, for them, is to understand the basics of security. It's not just because I'm one person shop. I have a laptop, but everything that I do is on somebody else's server. But how do I access this information? Who have access to it, right? So now we start getting, who have access to your most critical information, which means your employees' information, your clients' information, your financial. Can everyone have access to that? So we start answering these questions, and also what is the most concern to you about your company? What keeps you up at night is a known question to ask. And why are we here, right? What prompted you to be here? And the education password is still an issue, right? And also to who has the employees access, and then also to education within the company itself. And why do they have to actually do this? And if it's compliance driven, it's a little bit easier, although they still ask the question, or how much can I get away with, right? So those are the questions, some clients will be asking, and the applicability to them is what is most daunting. How is this applicable to me? If it's, let's take for an example, we do work with subcontractors that do work with the Department of Defense, and the Department of Defense have their own smaller version of a larger assessment that these subcontractors need to have. And some people still do not understand what it is, how is it applicable to them, and why do they have to do it. And so although now it's clearly tied to their purse, right? So you still have to go through that process of the why, and not mostly of the how. They just need to know the why and the cost, right? So I try mostly to keep it to educate them on security, the hygiene, simple hygiene that they need to take, simple things like multi-factor authentication, and like I mentioned, access control, and who has access to what. Why does Sue, who's my receptionist, have access to everything, right? So how do you limit those things?
No, that's true. Now, what has been the biggest win and challenge that has contributed to your success?
I would say being turned down, because once, how I started my company is I was working with a company, a financial firm, and my contract ended. And of course, I'm doing this. I said, you know what? I'm tired of this. I'm going to do my own stuff. But you still, being a mom, you still have family. You need a job, right? You need to get to work because you have to keep your family. But you also have, what I understood is that what I found out about myself is like, you know what? I need to do something different. We're still doing all these things, and there's still something that's missing. So I would say thank you to being turned down, right? Although I'm the type of person who's always asking, but being turned down, and there was one statement a lady made to me, which every time I turn around, they were always pointing me to her. But I'm like, I'm very frustrated. She's not doing anything, right? But the last conversation that we had, and she's like, you have great ideas. This is great, but you just need someone to give you an opportunity, right? So I realized that, and we hear Oprah and everyone else talking about that. The opportunity, you also have to allow yourself to give yourself the opportunity too, right? And that's how, being turned down like so many times. Oh, no. Yeah, you have a great idea, but you're not what we're looking for. No one is talking about this right now. But look, now fast forward is becoming the buzz, right, for everyone. Risk management, cyber governance, and all that. So being turned down was was a big win for me, right? It was a big challenge, but a win. I'll say it's a win because it propelled me to do what I know that I needed to do, which was starting my own company and continue being persistent and determined and the success that I wanted to do, and follow the opportunity where it is. And if there's no opportunity, create it. And I was fortunate enough also to surround myself with mentors, seek other people in the industry outside and start talking, having conversation, putting myself out there, right? And one thing that was a big thing, a friend actually called me one time, "Hey, I'm here. You should be here." I'm like, "Where?" He's like, "Tallahassee." I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" He's like, "Yeah, you need to be in the morning." And in the morning, I found myself driving 4 hours to Tallahassee. And then I met, one of our company that we work very closely with. And then that became a big win for us because now we are actually part of the business with them. Right. So it's being persistent, believing in yourself, right? And seeking advice from others have been, the things that actually propel me to get my big wins, overcome challenges, and, continue on my success right at the moment.
I love it. I'm over here quietly nodding my head in agreement as you share your story. I'm like, yes. Indeed. Okay, Regine, please finish these sentences. A strong, productive mindset is
being persistent, which helps you overcome anything.
My favorite snack is
I was going to say ice cream, but it may not be good. Wheat thins and also fruits.
Okay, so ice cream, wheat thins, and fruits. Okay.
Sure, we got to mix things. You have to balance things out.
You do. I agree. Nothing wrong with that. The time snatcher you aim to avoid most
is procrastination, which is a manifestation of fear, right?
It is. It really is. Good one. And my hype song is?
I was struggling over that one. I have a couple. So depends on that. I'm a big Transformer gal, right? So the Transformers movies theme song, is very empowering, it's a beautiful song, and it starts slow, which gives you that, I'm starting slow, then it escalates, right? So now you're moving forward. And another one is Shackles Off My Feet by Mary Mary. It's still one of those songs, and keep me grounded on my spiritual level.
Okay, that's awesome. Now, Regine, I appreciate you being a guest on the Career Tipper podcast, and please share the best advice or resource that has assisted you with keeping your skills recharged and competitive in the workplace.
You know what? Listening to podcasts, there's different podcasts in the industry that in the morning that I listen to while on my drive, staying connected with my colleagues, having conversation, joining, ISSA, ISACA, ISC Square, which are organizations within the industry that's where you meet others that are facing challenges that you're facing, but together we can, we come up with a solution or find a way, right? So, and also then I'm involved in the community, involving in the educational space too.
Love it. Now, how can listeners get in touch with you?
So you can reach me at through LinkedIn, Twitter, or Facebook at Regine Bonneau. You just type me, you'll find me there. My email address is RB as in Bravo, ONNEAU at rbadvisoryllc.com. My number is 954-330-6015. And also check out the website at rbadvisoryllc.com. And then just reach out, send me a message, text, call, or email, and I'll respond to you directly.
Fantastic. And you can find me, Michelle Beatty, at careertipper.com and on Facebook and Instagram at CareerTipper and on Twitter at CareerTipper1. Please continue to listen and subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, and Stitcher Radio. If you enjoyed this episode or any other episode of the podcast, please leave us a 5-star review on iTunes. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Career Tipper Podcast. We're grateful for our listeners and guests. For more resources about how to evolve to your professional best, share your comments and feedback about this episode and your suggestions for future guests, visit careertipper.com. Until next time, be confidently you.